The following program is brought to you by Bruce Telecom.
So it is 10 after the hour, and we would commence the open forum. There is one request for an open forum, but the matter is not on the agenda this evening, so it is out of order. We'll commence the meeting at 7:30. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this Committee of the Whole meeting of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores and welcome everybody to the Council Chambers this evening. The first item on the agenda is disclosures of pecuniary interest, and I'll ask any member if they have a pecuniary interest with anything on the agenda they'd like to declare. Being none, of course, you can do so anytime if you need to. Next is addition deletions. We don't have any of those. That moves us on to delegations, and we have 3 delegations on the agenda this evening. And just before I call the first delegation, I'll just remind all of the delegations that all of our delegations this evening have a 10-minute time limit, and I'll be, if we run up against that time limit, I'll give you a gentle reminder and ask you to wrap it up. And it also reminds, since this is our first meeting and our first set of delegations, to just remind the members to keep your comments and questions afterwards. You'll each have an opportunity to ask comments or questions, but we'd ask you to keep them brief and limit them as best as you can so we can move on with the agenda and complete our business efficiently. So, thank you all very much for your cooperation on that. With that, I'll call the first delegation, which is from Diane Huber, the past chair of the Heritage Committee. Ms. Huber.
Thanks, because I didn't want to have to use my outside voice. Mayor Charbonneau, members of council, staff members who are here, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. There's a number of members of the former or the past Heritage Committee and also some great friends of Heritage in the audience too. I'm here tonight to represent the Heritage Committee to present the Municipal Heritage Conservation Award. For many years, the Heritage Committee has recognized during an annual presentation of this award the incredible variety of contributions people make to preserving, promoting, and celebrating cultural history and cultural heritage in our communities. We're here tonight to recognize a very deserving resident whose involvement has touched many, many aspects defining our cultural heritage. There is a plaque on the wall outside the chambers that lists all of the people who've received this award over the years. I encourage you to take a look at it if you haven't yet. The potential of community involvement in cultural heritage is absolutely incredible. This year's award recipient speaks often and passionately about how cultural heritage costs are investments and not expenses. There's great examples in our community of these kinds of investments, and beyond dollars, there's also great examples of the investment of people on committees and through artistic endeavors to represent cultural heritage at its best in our community. What is cultural heritage? Well, cultural heritage is an amazing combination of the past, the present, and what we've done and what we're doing that will impact our future. A little more detailed would be that cultural heritage is the legacy of physical artifacts and intangible attributes of a group or society that are inherited from past generations, maintained in the present, and bestowed for the benefit of future generations. Cultural heritage includes tangible cultural stuff such as buildings, monuments, landscapes, books, works of art, and artifacts, intangible cultures such as folklore, traditions, language, and knowledge, and natural heritage, which includes culturally significant landscapes and biodiversity. What we've got tonight, though, is a recipient who has been involved with a number of things, and I'm going to list them all in just a few minutes. But one of the things that our previous Municipal Heritage Committee was very supportive of was the creation of a cultural heritage master plan. The award recipient this evening was part of a delegation with myself and another member of the Southampton Town Hall Ad Hoc Committee in early 2018 that encouraged the preparation of such a plan. We view this, as does the recipient, as a valuable step towards the realization of an awesome legacy installation, ensuring the viability of the Southampton Town Hall and the creation of library and community spaces that will serve us well for the next 75 to 100 years. Which brings me around to Duncan McCallum. Duncan's story hasn't always been with Saugeen Shores, but we're very glad that he and his wife, Mary, who's here tonight, decided to retire to Southampton. His involvement has been absolutely incredible, and he represents definitely a fantastic example of the role that residents play within the cultural heritage of our community. He personifies the impact that someone in the present can have as they respect the past and also embrace the future. His many, many hours of volunteer activity over many, many years make him a very worthy recipient of this year's awards. I'm going to just list some of the things, hopefully I've captured most of them that Duncan's been involved with. To include dates would just clutter up the list because a lot of them have overlapped. We're just grateful that he and Mary chose to retire here. And here's a snapshot of what represents really his involvement in the community. He's been a member of the Municipal Heritage Committee. He was the president of the Southampton Ratepayers Group that existed prior to the Southampton Beach, or along with the Southampton Beachers Group a number of years ago, which kind of morphed into the organization that exists now that's called the SRA. He's been a member of council. He was a member of council during the interesting time of amalgamation, which good for you, Duncan, for that. He's been a committee member on the Cemetery Board and the Saugeen Shores Parks and Trails Committee. He's been a leader in planning and hosting an awesome, absolutely awesome 150th Southampton anniversary celebration. He's been a director on the Arts Society Board. He's been a Propeller Club member. He's been the chair of the Southampton United Church Board. He's also been a very supportive spouse, often hands-on with help to all of Mary's work, his wife's work, with the Saugeen Memorial Hospital Auxiliary. He was also the visionary guide. He chaired the Southampton Town Hall Ad Hoc Committee, and at the moment his enthusiasm and efforts are benefiting the Board of Directors of the Bruce County Playhouse as they develop theatre and other artistic opportunities in Saugeen Shores. He's also a grandfather, which I think is perhaps the greatest heritage role anybody can have. The list would not be complete without mentioning the role that Duncan played in the whole General Hunter story. The General Hunter, as most of us know, is now underneath the sand on the beach between Palmerston and Morpeth Streets in Southampton. It was Duncan who actually saw it first. He saw the ribs of the ship poking up through the sand, and he recognized that they were significant. He brought in his buddies, Ken Cassavoy, John Rigby, Mike Sterling, and others, and they took a look and realized that there was something incredible right there in our own backyard. He always has understood and continues to represent how an appreciation of the past lets us live fully in the present and embrace our future. During many of the Town Hall Ad Hoc Committee meetings, he reminded us of the legacy we will create if we simply let the heritage of the Town Hall building itself and all the activity that has gone there at the moment and in the adjacent library intersect with the need for space and modern amenities in a prominent downtown location. This idea of the past and the future intersecting has played a big role in all of the things that he's been involved with here. Not once did he ever suggest in anything we talked about with the Town Hall Committee that we lose anything by changing the building or changing the space. It was always about what we would gain. Cultural heritage is a lot more than just old buildings, and we continue to promote awareness and interest in heritage via this award. And we also do a lot of other things with the Heritage Committee. We have some plaque programs and that sort of thing, but tonight is really about our Heritage Conservation Award. All of us have a great affection, I hope, anyway, for old stuff. But we should all understand that it's the stories that often hold the most value as our community continues to grow. We need people like Duncan McCallum to be involved in those stories. And the story of our development is really the story of our community's cultural heritage. Each of us has our own story, as does the three communities that make up Saugeen Shores. And those stories are worth recording and remembering and celebrating as we are tonight. The past and the present do provide wonderful guidance as we continue to shape our town. Duncan McCallum, our reward recipient, sees the rewards possible when heritage and the future intersect. Duncan is a community member who keeps the past present. Thank you, Dunk, for all of your involvement and participation over the years. You're an absolutely great role model for what truly makes a civic leader in our community. And we thank Duncan for his absolutely awesome and continuing role in the cultural heritage of Saugeen Shores. And I offer congratulations from the past Municipal Heritage Committee, myself, former Councillor Neil Minaj, and Bill Streeter, Jane Kramer, Gabrielle DiFrancesco, Eric Rogers, Mark Janikovic, and Tracy Edwards, our staff resource. And I would ask Duncan to come forward so that the mayor can present him with the 2018 Municipal Heritage Conservation Award.
I will keep this brief, respecting the 10 minutes, since Diane has already taken 8.5. When I looked at the people that had won this award previously, I wondered whether Diane was really speaking about me. She must have been speaking about somebody else that had really been involved in this town. But I am honored to be included in that august group. I sometimes think that maybe I'm getting this award because I'm old. That's part of heritage. I have 80 years of experience in this town, having come here when I was just born, summer vacationer, and then eventually coming up as a summer resident on a regular basis, buying our own place in 1971 and retiring here in 2000. So I have a great admiration for a community that respects its heritage. We recognize our heritage. We encourage our heritage. We support our heritage, and we respect our heritage. But we also have an exciting future. And we have to give the future as much excitement, promotion, and enthusiastic support as we do the past. We have to be awfully careful that we don't let ourselves become slaves to the past when we look at future opportunities. There are occasions where we'll do singular things that support heritage. The Marine Heritage Festival, and John is here somewhere, John Cherry, is just a wonderful support of heritage. The ice rink, the aquatic center, these are things that are speaking to the future, and they're wonderful things to support and be enthusiastic about. What is really important is to find opportunities to bring heritage and the future together. We had an opportunity presented to us by proponents of building the Nuclear Institute right next to the museum and cultural center. A wonderful opportunity to bring the past and the future together. Let's not lose that opportunity to make that happen in this community where heritage is so important and where the future is so bright. Thank you.
Thanks for those words, Duncan. Are there comments from members of the committee? The Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Charbonneau, and thank you, Diane, for your presentation tonight, and thank you to all the members of the Heritage Committee. do a fabulous job in our community, and I want to thank you for all your efforts. You know, Duncan, back in 2006 to 2010, I sat right in that chair as the Director of Community Services in the middle, and I think back to those days when you sat right here, you were the next one down, and you were a mentor back then, a leader, communicator, and a role model, and you still are today, believe me. And I just wanted to thank you for all your efforts, Duncan, that you've contributed towards the community over the years. Heritage is something that we're going to be addressing around this table over the next 4 years, and I'm sure we will be. But I just wanted to thank you again for all your efforts. You're an amazing person. Yeah.
Further comments from members of the committee? No, I'll just say for myself, Duncan, thank you very much for all that you've done for our community over the years, and for your contribution to Heritage. I think Diane put it very well. That that list. I mean, you can't even put the dates to it because it's just too much. There's so many things that you've contributed over the years to Saugeen Shores, and you've made it a better place by being in it and through all of your work. So we very much appreciate it, and congratulations. So that moves us on to our next delegation, and that is from Kimberly Ennis-Peterson and Kate Adjournment, and they're here to talk to us about the Chamber of Commerce Tourism Update. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Charbonneau. Thank you for having me here tonight, councillors, members of the media, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kimberly Ennis-Peterson. I'm the Executive Director of the Saugeen Shores Chamber of Commerce, and with me tonight is Kate Irwin. She is the President of our board. There we go. So our deputation tonight is focused on explaining how the Chamber has fulfilled its tourism contract mandate for 2018. We wish to be transparent and accountable to the town and show our responsible use of funding. Statistics and detailed information can be found in the companion document that has been provided to you. With the town's growth rate, dynamic business ecosystem, and shifting demographics, the time for innovation is now upon us. In our PowerPoint, you'll notice the italicized content. This represents our moving forward for 2019 section in the companion document. It summarizes areas the Chamber have identified as needing attention as we move into 2019. As the Chamber applies total quality management and lean principles, we're looking at innovative tourism strategies that will, 1, appeal to a wider variety of consumers across more channels and with a greater reach. 2, improve efficiencies, eliminate duplication, and create more agility. 3, reduce waste, including monetary, resource, and time. And 4, further improve the town's public image as a premier tourist destination. The Chamber of Commerce was obligated to fulfill the following mandate as set out in the contract in these 6 key areas up here on the screen. The Saugeen Shores Chamber of Commerce was responsible for operating the Tourism Information Center and the Events Planning and Marketing Service for the town of Saugeen Shores during 2018. We achieved this by operating 2 drop-in centers, 4 self-service kiosks, responded to tourism inquiries, and supported and promoted tourism. For 2019, we envisioned the creation of an internet hotspot and device charging station, an area for tourists to upload maps, download photos, reviews to our website, and we're looking at partnering with community groups for events and collaborating with social media influencers. The Saugeen Shores Chamber of Commerce supported the tourism website via Tourist Town and used social media congruent to the town's social media policy. We worked with other tourism organizations and sought opportunities for economic development. For 2019, we envision a website refresh for ease of metrics, one that is mobile friendly, as we make preparations for emerging technology. The Chamber side of operations is to become more business focused as we work in an ecosystem and not in isolation. We will strengthen alliances with RTO7 and others, look forward to formation of a chamber initiative called the Tourism Advisory Committee, and we will pursue other opportunities as they arise. The Saugeen Shores Chamber of Commerce employed 4 summer students through grants. These employees were dedicated to tourism. We have new chamber staff who are high-functioning and well-educated professionals. Other tourism support comes from our chamber's high-functioning board of directors and our diverse membership. For 2019, we envision further staff investments, or what I call inputs, for quality outputs, and staff retention strategies as we prepare for the upcoming employment gap in the knowledge economy. Our strategies for moving forward are not groundbreaking, but they have been overlooked. They are reasonable and attainable. The Chamber of Commerce strongly desires to be a key partner with the town and will work in delivering our share in each of the pillars described in the town's Economic Development Strategic Plan. Our relationship with the town is very symbiotic, with 80% or more of our members either generating revenue from or for tourism. We look forward to the budget meeting in January, where we will request a moderate increase. We also look forward to the proposed tourism strategy that will generate actionable items for the Chamber in surpassing our tourism mandate. The Chamber is rebranding itself as we take an ecosystem approach to business and tourism, and we strive to increase the economic vitality for the town. We all share a common goal, a healthy business environment that is sustainable. The appeal of a mutually beneficial tourism arrangement is self-evident for the Chamber and the town. The Chamber-Town Complementary Draw is an excellent partnership in which our 2 organizations create traffic for each other and to our mutual benefit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kimberly. And Kate, are there questions from members of the committee? Let's see, I really am, and you mentioned it in your comments there about the strategic plan that we're about to do in 2019 with the help of RTO7. I think that's really going to be an exciting opportunity for us, the Town of Saugeen Shores and the Chamber and our partners, to work together to envision what how we're going to work together. I know for years we've been talking to the Chamber about trying to do that and coordinate better what the municipality should be doing, what the Chamber should be doing, what BIAs should be doing, and bringing all those partners together and having that discussion and setting something out. That's really going to give us a roadmap for the future. So I appreciate what you've presented here tonight, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming in tonight, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
So that moves us on to our final delegation. I just have to back here, and it is from Dave Cheer and Jessica Carter, who are Rail Trail board members, and they're here to talk to us about the Rail Trail Association annual update. Dave and Jessica. The blue button on there. Oh, there you go. You got it.
Good. Start again. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to give you our yearly update on the activities of the Saugeen Rail Trail Association. For those of you that are new to council, we are a private, not-for-profit, 28-year-old organization responsible for rail trail maintenance and development within the municipality of Saugeen Shores. We are funded by membership fees, a yearly grant from the municipality, plus public and business donations. One of our greatest strengths is that we have been able to partner with the Rotary Clubs, Home Hardware, Home Depot, the Saugeen Conservation Authority, Saw Green, the local high school, and others to develop large projects such as the Hurricane Hazel site, the Memorial Garden in Southampton, and the Head of Trails Train Depot in Port Elgin. Our original mandate was to develop and maintain between 8 and 9 kilometers of rail trail bed into a hiking biking path. What has evolved, though, is that in conjunction with the municipality, McGregor Point Provincial Park, some large government grants, Saugeen Shores now has one of the finest trail systems in Ontario. An example of the interest in our trail system can be determined by the use of our trail maps. Every 2 years, we update and order 6,000 Saugeen Shores trail maps. This spring, we sent in our usual order. By summertime, we had to reorder an additional 3,000 maps. Thousands of people are using the trail system every year. Not just the rail trail, the whole trail system. Our accomplishments for this year include the annual August Memorial Service is held in relation to the Hurricane Hazel train wreck, the relatives and the families. 40 bluebird boxes along the trail that are cleaned and maintained each year. The trail itself being graded, groomed, and resurfaced where necessary every year. The yearly July 1st weekend bike day, a well-attended event, usually with a new bicycle prize for some young person. Maintenance of our 2 parks with grass cutting, tree trimming, weed control, necessary building repair or painting, and the operation of the water systems. 6 new street art bicycle racks designed by the high school technology class with teacher Howard Baker were manufactured and installed. Completion of the last section of the Memorial Gardens in Southampton by opening up the corridor down Peel Street to the west. This included planting 6 new spruce trees, adding topsoil and gravel for our parking area. That part of that compliments of the municipality. We did plan to begin paving a section of the north end of the Port Elgin Trail in order to meet the requests for better access for wheelchairs and strollers, plus winter grooming. But the price of asphalt was shocking, to say the least, and resulted in our association opening up a reserve fund of $10,000 to begin paving for this project. Many parts of the trail system are being used year-round, and we need to accommodate for that use. One bright note, we are currently working on a sizable private donation towards paving a large section of trail. This will be very exciting news for 2019. This year, in partnership with the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority and the TD Bank, we also planted 150 new trees. I should also mention that we were asked to prepare our 2019 budget to give to the municipality back in September. Our projects are predominantly completed in the outdoors. Due to the early arrival of winter this year, we still have about $12,000 on our books of unspent dollars for work projects that will now be carried over to spring completion. We had anticipated to have approximately $3,000 on the books to carry over into 2019. Rail Trail members donate thousands of hours to the physical labor and time to complete projects. But the work would not get done without the cooperation of the Director of Community Services and staff, and in particular we mentioned Frank Burrows. He works very closely with our trail manager. Also the business partnerships that we have created and the volunteer hours of the daily users of the trail, in particular those that live near the trail, who are the ones who cut grass, pick up garbage, and keep their adjacent properties trimmed and maintained. We never receive complaints. Nobody phones and complains about anything. But we do receive a lot of, we'll call them updates, trail users see things that need to be addressed, such as branches on the trail, small washouts, garbage, or vandalism. I conclude my part. After 18 years as a volunteer for Saugeen Shores Trail Development, I'm going to retire. Therefore, I would like to introduce our incoming president, Jessica Carter, who will conclude our presentation and tell you something about the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I have rather large shoes to fill, that's to be sure. I'm excited to outline what we will focus on in 2019 and beyond as the Saugeen Rail Trail Association. First, it's been a long time coming, but early in the new year, we expect to receive and install storyboards at the Southampton Memorial Garden gazebo. Through the rich history and photos, these boards will showcase our community's rich and diverse rail and marine heritage. The crossing gates at all roadway intersections have outlived their usefulness and are a little dated, and we aim to replace these with solid posts similar to those installed by the municipality. When the municipality finishes revising its regulations regarding public security this spring, we expect and look to install trail cameras at the trailheads in both Port Elgin and Southampton. As Dave mentioned briefly, there's been a number of occurrences of vandalism in these sections of trail. It's most unfortunate, and we hope that by installing these trail cameras that will deter this vandalism from occurring in the future. It is hoped, as Dave mentioned as well, that the trail paving mentioned earlier in this presentation can be completed with that special donation earlier than anticipated. I can't stress enough how important this paving is to the trail and to the community. Dave spoke about challenges with those with the mobility issues, accessing the trail and being more accessible, but this will open up the trail as more of an outdoor track in the section it's paved all year round. It's pretty exciting. Ongoing maintenance to the trail will continue, plus purchasing some new equipment to replace that which has become outdated. Another replacement in partnership with the municipality involves using an amount of $5,000 set aside in this budget to replace the platform at the Hurricane Hazel viewing site. We're also aiming to clean up, organize, and beautify the entrance to the trail at the Concession 6 entranceway. It's really just a parking lot and a washroom right now, and we know we can make that a lot better. We're also going to be focusing on increasing membership in the next year. I look to members of council and everyone listening and viewing today to become a member of the Saugeen Rail Trail Association. It's a good bunch. And we're also looking at reaching out to members of the business community to boost that as well. I'm told that social media is where it's at these days, so we're going to work on increasing our presence there with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm not sure about this Snapchat, but I might learn about it too. Members of council, Mayor Charbonneau, members of the press, community members, and ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our presentation. If you have questions or comments, we're open to them.
Thank you, Jessica. And before I open it up the floor, just let me congratulate you on becoming the chair of the Rail Trail Association. Let me congratulate Dave. Dave, even still, oh, there he is, right at the back there. Congratulations to you, Dave, on your retirement, and thank you for your contributions to the Rail Trail over the years. It'll be a loss to the committee to see you go. Are there questions or comments from members of the committee? Councillor Mayette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Congratulations also, Jessica, on your taking over. I look on your proposals and your new ideas as really great opportunities. And I also read about the vandalism that you'd experienced, which I'm abhorrent to hear of vandalism or experience vandalism in any way, shape, or form. And I've witnessed it, and I've tried to deter it at every opportunity. Your suggested solution of video surveillance, though, I would caution you not to get too enthusiastic about the regulations and the public consultation that needs to take place, and the resultant, as the Privacy Commissioner describes it, as infringements on rights and freedoms are something that need to be seriously considered. And unless there is a specific public safety issue at hand, I, for one, would have a really hard time supporting any kind of video surveillance in the community, be it at rail trails or even more broader public places. So just maybe a word of caution on that. But other than that, keep up the good work and good luck. Carry on.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Dave, and thank you to everybody who I've worked with over the last 4 years on the Rail Trail Association board, because it's hard to describe to the public how much work and how many hours these volunteers put in day after day after day, and how much value that brings to our community. When I think of how much we would have to pay for staff to do the work that the volunteers do, and the value that this brings. So just a quick thing about the paving. And I've been hearing the discussions, and I think it's a good idea as well. I had the opportunity over the weekend to speak with a young man who runs a business in cycling tourism, and he is transferring from Montreal to Toronto. And I was talking to him about the rail trail, and he has relatives up here, so he's visited and been here in the summer. But I was telling him about our thoughts about paving, and he said, that's a great idea, because that's one of the things that really helps to increase our winter cycling tourism. Like he's, from his own experience, that would help tremendously. And I know one of the things we're trying to do is to move into a more seasonal, tourist attraction, so destination. So anyway, thanks again for all your work to the board and members.
The Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Charbonneau. And congratulations, Jessica, on your new appointment. You're going to be great. And Dave back there and Jerry, all the work you've done, and the entire Rail Trail Association board just do amazing work in our community. And we have 40 kilometers of trails in this community now. 40 kilometers of trails, and we've become a destination point for trail users, and a real attraction, to this community. And that helps. I mean, that helps restaurants, and it helps gas stations. I see bikes coming in with racks and top with 4 or 6 bikes, unloading and going for their bike ride and going back home again from Owen Sound and further abroad. So it's a wonderful attraction. And the other thing I wanted to say to you is, I know you're requesting $15,000 from council again this year, and we'll have lots of budget considerations to consider, but I take a look at the $15,000, and each year Saugeen Rail Trail Association match you with $30,000. So I'll take 33 cent dollars. It's going to cost us 33 cents rather than $100. I'll take that anytime, all day, every day. So thanks for your efforts, everyone in the audience there too from Saugeen Rail Trail, and you people do a fabulous job. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Anything further? I would just to conclude, I'd let you and the committee know that your budget request for $15,000 has been received by the municipality, and will be added to council's budget deliberations early next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of the delegations and moves us on. We have nothing further until we get down to 5.8, communications and petitions for committee of the whole information. There's 7 items there. I'll ask members if there are any questions or comments with regard to any of the items for information. I might just ask the CAO to make some comments about item 1, the recreational cannabis funding, and perhaps he could say some words about what the municipality is doing in advance of our needing to make decisions on that issue.
Yeah, thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to members of committee and people in the audience, we launched today a survey and an online information hub on the issue of cannabis in our community. We issued a press release today as well to help get that message out. We would encourage all members of our community to go online, read about cannabis and how it can impact our community, or how it will impact our community, and participate in the survey. The survey is open, as I mentioned, currently. We are closing it off at the end of the year, December 31st, and council will need to make a decision on whether or not to opt out by January 22nd. So we'll be bringing a report based on feedback we received from the survey and other forms of information, recommendation to council on that.
Thank you. Then if there's nothing further on the items for information, that moves us on to item 6, reports of municipal councillors policy. And the one item there is the mayor's report, a report from me, update to members of council. This is something that I am going to introduce and do periodically. Course of this term of council, bring you some information. You can see there a few items. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I hope to bring you updates on activities at the County of Bruce. And I will just say for your information, as you probably know, Mitch Toulon, Mayor of the Township of Huron-Kinloss, was elected warden on the 6th of this month. He gave a good speech at the beginning of the after being elected warden, focusing on affordable housing, making specific note to talk about his interest in seeing the county move forward on affordable housing in lakeshore communities, and did name Saugeen Shores as one of those places, which I thought was very encouraging. And he also focused in his speech on the Nuclear Innovation Institute, calling on all Bruce County municipalities to support that institute being located in the town of Saugeen Shores. And so very grateful to the warden for those comments, and I'm very much looking forward to working with him. And for your information, I have been appointed to the Bruce County Library Board and chair of the Museum Committee for this year. The other items there, citizen recognition is an item that I hope that members of council will work with me on and bring me ideas. You guys are out in the community finding out what people are doing and what's going on. And I'm very keen to recognize outstanding achievements by citizens throughout the community over the course of this term of council, both here in the council chambers and by sending them certificates and whatever else we can do. So I'm very hopeful that you will all participate in that and send me suggestions, and I can't imagine turning one down. I'm keen to recognize all those people who are doing great things across our community. I intend to release records of my public schedule, likely quarterly. So all meetings that I'm carrying out in my official capacity as mayor, I will be releasing those for your review and the public's review, and you'll likely see the first one of those in March or April. And finally, we are having a striking committee meeting next week, or no, sorry, tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're having I'm a week behind and a week ahead. Anyway, tomorrow we are having a striking committee meeting, and we'll be discussing a number of matters of interest to council, and you can see what those are there. And as always, the striking committee will be reporting to council as necessary. So that is my report. Are there any questions with regard to my report? None. We'll move on then to reports of department heads, and we have 2 reports. And the first is a legacy fund report, and I don't know if the Director of Corporate Services want to speak to that. The Director of Corporate Services.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to provide an update on the legacy fund reserve that was created in 2018 through our budget process. We had allocated $746,000 to that reserve, and further received a payment through OPG for the DGR funding of a little over $480,000, and it is expected that we will receive another $158,000. It said late December or in December. We haven't received it yet, so hopefully we'll receive that before our Christmas break. So I just wanted to sort of provide you with an update of what the amount is expected to be at the end of the year. There are some capital projects that were earmarked to be funded through debt financing in 2018. So I will be bringing a report and a recommendation on possibly allocating those funds to be funded through the reserve instead of debt financed. If anyone has any other comments or questions, I look forward to them.
Thank you very much. Are there questions for the Director, the Vice Deputy Mayor?
I just had a comment and a question. You know, the legacy fund, the numbers I'm reading, and I spoke to the CAO about this today, is that, you know, our legacy fund could, if we continue to contribute towards the legacy fund, you know, could get into that $2 million figure by 2020, which is a healthy number. And I think the last council need to be commended for making that decision to start this legacy fund. And David, I wanted to thank you as CEO for bringing it forth, because, you know, it's well known that over the last 4 years, it was a period of time where 5 out of 5 applications at provincial and federal level were were turned down in succession, I believe. It was, so we have high average household income and we have low average household assessment. We get penalized for that at times from both levels of government for doing a good job, I guess. And so, the writing is kind of on the wall. We're going to lobby very hard over this next 4 years at a provincial, federal level to bring back the recreation infrastructure program and other grants. The writing may be on the wall that some of these projects, we like the pool, like the ball complex, like the Southampton Town Hall. We may have to go some of these projects alone if the grant monies don't come forward. So, David, I'd like to thank you and to our Director of Finance for bringing this model forward in the previous council, and because this may be very well our way of funding some of these key projects over the next 2, 4, 5, 10 years. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And that number, David, and in the report, and Sue, I guess, is the recommendation that's coming forth, will the recommendation from staff be that the legacy fund that we started up this past year, $746,000 from tax levy, and then there's the Terra Power Generation funds, will the recommendation come forth that we're actually going to spend that first portion of the legacy fund, or are we going to be debenturing? Do we have any sneak preview into terms of whether it's going to be debentured or put into that legacy fund and not touched?
At this stage, I believe probably a portion of it will be recommended to be funded out of the reserve. I have some rough estimates, not on the tip of my tongue, about possible debt charges or impact on the operating budget going forward. So that's sort of the balancing we take between those. What's the cost on operations going forward versus do we fund it now? Because we do have a lot of larger capital projects on the horizon. So.
Further questions or comments for the Director? Seeing none, thank you very much for that, Sue. And then we have one more report, which is an information report on the Nuclear Innovation Institute, and I believe the CAO has the report.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As an update to Council and the community, staff continue to work very closely with Bruce Power and the county, along with Mayor Charbonneau. Our hope and desire, as our community has expressed very loudly, is to keep the Nuclear Innovation Institute in Saugeen Shores, and we're working very hard to accomplish that goal. We appreciate Bruce Power's commitment to exhaust all opportunities in Saugeen Shores before they look elsewhere, and we're very confident that we'll be able to accomplish that. And we'd like to acknowledge the overwhelming support from the community. In fact, we heard a delegation tonight speak positively about it. We've received many, many, many letters in support, and we're thankful for that, and we're going to continue to bring this one home.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments to CAO? Councillor Mayat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and once again through you. This is all very good news, of course, following on the unfortunate news that they decided to reconsider their position, and we're all very hopeful. I think I can speak for everybody in the room that we're hopeful that this will, in fact, come to fruition in Saugeen Shores, and I certainly appreciate the work that you're doing along with His Worship on getting a list of alternative locations. I can also say that I'm probably like with everybody else, we get a lot of questions from people in the public about where it's at, what the progress is, and where it's going to be. And I know that you had a long list and you're working on a short list. Do you have any idea when it may become public knowledge of what the short list looks like and where the likely locations might be?
For you, Mr. Mayor, it's unlikely that we'll be publishing a short list, because that can drive, if there's any property acquisition required or anything like that can be challenging. My sense, Councillor, is that early in the new year, so in January, we hope to have a location decided on, and certainly if it involves municipal property, we'll update members of council. We'll need your permission and your agreement to move it any further ahead, but that's the timing, January.
Further questions or comments for the CAO? Very good. Thank you for that update, David. So that moves us on then to adjournment. So we'll look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Rich. All in favor? We're adjourned. We'll reconvene regular council at 1:30 the hour.
The preceding program was brought to you by Bruce Telecom.